Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Recruiting never stops, and it's certainly busy right now from a football perspective. Sonny Shipp covers it all for 24/7. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sonny, how are you?
Good, man. What's happening, brother?
Not a ton, but there's a lot of recruiting going on. That's why we got you here. I guess we'll start with Dakorien Moore. I think everyone pretty familiar with that story. Number one wide receiver in the country, commits to LSU, decommits, says LSU's out of it. Now LSU's back into it. Had a visit over the weekend. Should LSU fans get their hopes up for a recommitment here?
I would not get my hopes up on that one at all. I would just say, hey, you hear the courtesy visit. You've heard about that before. Kids are committed to one school, and while he's uncommitted, I get the feeling, and from talking to others, that this was kind of a courtesy visit right here. It's he had a good relationship with Frank Wilson, Sherman Wilson, obviously Cortez Hankton and company. That's one reason why he committed in the first place. And I think this was just more about getting talked into visiting, coming and checking things out. And look, that's not to say that LSU didn't put its best foot forward. LSU didn't roll out the red carpet and all. He was the only official visitor of the weekend. Dakorien had, I think it was 5 or 6 members of his camp who was with him over the weekend and stuff. And so he was the highlight and he was the focus. But at the end of the day, it's going to be tough to get mom on board, and if mom ain't happy, it's going to be really hard to get another commitment right there. So, and look, you knew this going in. You knew that we saw this with Colin Simmons last year, a teammate of Dakorien Moore's. You had Tex. Colin was really high on LSU. LSU led for quite a bit of his recruitment. And then when Texas swooped in, got him on that official visit and kind of laid everything out from an NIL standpoint. And from that point on, it was going to be tough for LSU. And I think that's where we are with Dakorien too, is that, Texas is not going to let the number one player in the state leave the state. They're going to do everything that they can to keep him there. And I think that's what you're going to see there.
So LSU's obviously got to have some backup plans, and it appears they're being very aggressive there. Who are the other wide receivers that LSU is really aggressively pursuing at this point?
Yeah, look, they had a couple of weeks, the first official visit weekend of June, they had Khalik Lockett, a 5-star wide receiver out of Texas. They had him in. They had Jamie French, 5-star wide receiver out of Florida. Both of those guys were in. And there was a while in the spring where LSU was looking like the lead school for Lockett. I think that's changed now, and I think he's going to be another one. It's going to be tough to get out of the Lone Star State. But Jamie French is one that I think you can, that LSU fans could look at and say, okay, this could be the guy. This could be that number one receiver, that Jamar Chase, that Jamar Chase type, that Odell Beckham type, that Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. type, the number one receiver who comes in, just puts up huge numbers. I think you could see that. While Texas is a threat for Jamie French as well, I'm just not in the camp that Texas is going to be able to pull these 3 5-star wide receivers in the same class. You're talking about 3 dudes who are all alphas. There's one ball to go around. They all feel like, and they really all are, number one wide receivers in an offense. And getting 2, I think convincing 2 to come in is easy. But who wants to be that third wide receiver? Not many 5-stars are looking to be that.
Yeah, this day and age, there's no chance you can get 3 in one class and have them stick around for more than a year. The writing will be on the wall pretty quickly. So
absolutely, you might get them committed because of the state that college football recruiting is in right now from an NIL standpoint. But when signing day comes, I mean, you're going to be doing something really, really special to get them all to sign in the first place. But then the odds of you having them 3 after 1 year. Ooh, man.
How involved is Bryce Underwood with all of this recruiting?
Well, I think Bryce Underwood, and that's another reason that I think you're starting to see the mood kind of shift on Jamie French a little bit, because he's even mentioned the Bryce Underwood effect. And I think as things kind of get a little bit closer to him making his decision, I believe he's planning on making a decision either July or August. I'd have to go back and look at it to see. But it's fairly, it's before his senior season and everything. And I think you're going to see that Bryce Underwood effect have more play as you get closer to these decisions. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off there. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, all good. I was just trying to close the door so my dogs didn't bark.
Speaking of closing the door's open for some 5-star cornerbacks that LSU is certainly pursuing. We know that Corey Raymond had a huge track record of that when he was at LSU the first time around, and LSU's defensive back recruiting hasn't been quite as good over the last couple of years, quite frankly. He's now back on board. Who are a couple of the targets that he's pursuing from a secondary perspective?
Yeah, look, that first weekend that I was talking about before with the wide receivers, he had 2 5-stars on campus, Dorian Brew and also DJ Pickett. Now, Dorian Brew, I think he's going to be a tough pull, even though his dad was a track All-American at LSU. So you got those ties right there. USC and Ohio State, though, I think are going to be a little more favorable with Mom right now, and so that's one that I think is going to be a tougher pull. But DJ Pickett, he left LSU, got some ties to Patrick Peterson, another South Florida cornerback. And so Patrick Peterson was in town on that first official visit weekend. And so that's, I think that's something that LSU kind of has in its back pocket that some schools don't have. By all accounts, Pickett left LSU that weekend with LSU feeling good about where it stood. And from that point, it's just a matter of being able to withstand the storm. Georgia was this past weekend. He went to Georgia. By all accounts, it sounds like Georgia may have impressed him a little bit, but had not done enough to kind of overtake where LSU's position was. And now you just sweat it out and see you got Miami coming up, you got Oregon coming up, and then he's another one who I believe his announcement date is October 5th. So you got a little bit longer on that one. And, you're going to, not to sound like a broken record, but with all these kids and with the NIL situation the way it is, you may be in the top spot, and that's great and everything. You may have a commitment and, hey, beat your chest. We got the guy. But holding on to him in this era that we're in, that's where all the sweating comes from.
No question about it. I know the elite camp over the years has been a really good thing for LSU, and generally speaking, a commitment or two generally comes from that. I know it's coming up here. What do you have to say about this week and what the potential are here in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, man. You go back. I mean, I've been doing this over 25 years, and the recruiting timelines have shifted so much. It used to be that all the official visits happened during the season because kids wanted to see games. They wanted to experience Tiger Stadium. Now we're in this era to where the month of June is huge for official visits because these kids, they want to try to get a decision out of the way. I think the early signing period kind of shifted the timeline with a lot of recruiting, but most of the guys coming in for the elite camp are now going to be in the 2026 and 2027 classes because all the other ones are taking their official visits. You don't even really have the days now to where kids come to camp to try to earn an offer before their senior year. You got some rare exceptions out there, but used to be, you might have a dozen kids coming in, but now all those kids are taking official visits and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see. The big one, I think, is going to be that Friday Night Lights camp, and that's going to be the weekend. The third weekend in June is the last official visit weekend before a dead period kicks in, and that's going to run until most of July, till the end of July. And so I think that Friday Night Lights camp, that's what they're staging up. That's what's going to be the big one to kind of really showcase the LSU brand, also showcase Tiger Stadium a little bit and stuff. And I that's the one where you'll see the Bryce Underwoods, you'll see those big guys come in for.
Sonny, we really appreciate the time.
Absolutely, brother. Have a great day, my man.
You too. Me and Sonny Shipp, 24/7 Sports. Go 24/7. Have Glenn on every Tuesday. Sonny does an awesome job keeping up with recruiting. He's kind of singing the same song that most people in the industry are singing on Dakorien Moore. Yeah, he has a great relationship with the staff, but it's probably not going to end up in Baton Rouge. But what else can you do? And it looks like Jamie French, kind of the guy that LSU is targeting at wide receiver for that big 5-star wide receiver commitment. And Brian Kelly's done a really good job recruiting. He's got a really good staff full of recruiters that got to close the door on this class here in the coming months, and certainly the next couple of weeks should be entertaining from a recruiting perspective, as there are a lot of camps and a lot of announcements that are afoot. So if you're looking to check that out, you can do so over at Go 24/7. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.